Mr. Peter, he will join us also.
Hi, Frank.
Hi, Faye. This is so nice to reconnect after all these years. I tried your 212 phone number, but it seems to be disconnected.
Oh, you're doing
My
what?
wife is a
277?
Hi,
Yeah,
Emmy.
well,
Guten Tag.
we should communicate via email.
I agree. I agree.
Hi. Hi, Emmy. Hi, Carol. Hi, Faye. Hi, guten Tag.
Wie schön.
Enjoy the conversation. Can't wait to be back in Gunzenhausen.
Hi, Stu.
Oh, das wäre schön.
Hello, Toby.
Shalom, shalom.
And Ariela. Okay. So let's wait another minute, 1 minute, and we'll start 6:05. Anyone who has can open his video. It will be better for us to everyone open the video. Almost everyone. Okay, let's start. So good evening or good noontime or good morning, depends which country you are from. I think from at least from more than three countries, but different times. I'm talking to you from the south, from the Negev, from South Israel. I'm in the middle of an army base because I gave a workshop until now. So I'm in the army base and I'm talking to you through the cellular phone. It says, just say to Peter that it's now. We have some speakers to talk tonight for us, and then we'll have an open dialogue. It's good to meet you again, all of you, and we want to be in touch. I don't know if every month, but every period of time. And we have some ideas and activities to do in the future. And it's open also to your ideas, to your initiations. So we'll be at the end. We have like an open dialogue, open discussion or conversation. So thank you for everyone for joining us. Thank you, Emmy. Thank you, Second Mayor, Mr. Peter Schnell, that will join us in a few minutes. And so we'll have Emmy to say some words about the history of Jewish community in Gunzenhausen. I maybe will add also some words. And then I hope Mr. Peter Schnell will join us and will say some words about current situation in Gunzenhausen, about the town. And of course, you can ask questions. You have different questions. It's open to questions. Also questions to Emmy. After Emmy will finish her speak or her talk, you can ask her questions, not private questions. This will have a different time, but to ask a general questions that you think that everyone will be interested. And after the second mayor, there will be a discussion about the renovation of the Jewish cemetery, which Faye and Mr. James Strauss, they want to talk about that. And after that, I will share some of the ideas and we'll have an open dialogue like we like, okay? So thank you very much, Emmy, for joining us. Thank you very much for all the amazing work you did during the years. And we'll be happy now to hear some words about the history of the Jewish community in Gunzenhausen. And come on, we are with you.
Okay. Maybe you know Jews have lived in today's Germany since around the year 300. And since around 1300, Jews were mentioned in Gunzenhausen. Also, they've always had to live with restrictions and were murdered in pogroms. The Jewish community in this town has developed into one of the most important in the region. The special position of the Gunzenhausen community can be deduced from the fact that the 5 best-known rabbis of the German Empire met here in 1481, more than 500 years ago. At that time, there was a yeshiva, a Talmud school, I think, in Gunzenhausen, where important Jewish scholars taught. This yeshiva was like the synagogue in the Jewish quarter, which was located near the city center. It was never a ghetto. For a long time, it was good cooperation between Christians and Jews. The Jewish primary school was next to the Christian school. The great synagogue dominated the cityscape. Christian neighbors and friends also came to the large Jewish cemetery for funerals. Around 1900, there were a number of prospering Jewish companies in this town. For example, Gerst, Rosenfelder und Frank. The machine factory Bing, the pottery factory Seeberger, or the modern mill of the Wertheimer family. The Neumann cheese wholesaler operated throughout Germany, as did the wine wholesaler Dottenheimer. In addition to many Jewish stores in which Christians also liked to shop, there were the Jewish Inn by Simon Strauss, Bruno Weidmann's Coffee House, Jakob Rosenfelder's Bakery, a Jewish doctor, the last one was Dr. Karl Rothschild, the great-grandfather of Netanel, and a dentist, Dr. Arnold Sandler. Around 1900, 300 Jewish citizens lived here. Most of the Gunzenhausen associations accepted Jews as members, or even elected them as elected to the city council. They were active in local politics. 1919, everything changed. Although Jewish men had fought as soldiers in the First World War, and many of them had died, open began shortly afterwards. At the time Hitler came to power in 1933, there were only around 180 Jewish residents here. 1 year later, the Bloody Palm Sunday in Gunzenhausen was one of the first Nazi-motivated pogroms in Germany. 2 Jewish men were murdered, Max Rosenau and Jakob Rosenfelder. In the same year, the Jewish innkeeper Simon Strauss was shot, and his son Julius seriously injured. Immediately afterwards, many Jewish families began to prepare for emigration. First, they moved to big cities, then abroad. In January 1939, all Jews had left Gunzenhausen. No one came back. According to the current state of research, 107 Jews from Gunzenhausen were murdered in the Third Reich. The town reminds its citizens of the victims on plaques on the former house of the Shochet. There is still the Jewish cemetery. Many of the Jewish houses still stand today. And your visits keep the memory alive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmy, for your touching words and for keeping the history of the community during all these years. If anyone has a question to Emmy about the Jewish history, this is the time. I'll say just few notes. One of the ones who were killed in the First World War was Max Rothschild. Max Rothschild was the brother of Karl Rothschild, and he died as a German soldier. He's buried in France. And there's Toby and Shula. Their father was named Max Rothschild after his uncle that died in the First World War, and they are part of us, Toby and Shula. That's one.
Tova.
You said about 107 Jews who died in the war. I just want to show what we showed last time. Just a minute. This map that you initiate. I'll just do share screen for a minute. Just a minute. I'll do share screen. Okay, this is a map. I hope you all see that Emmy and the students created, and it's all Gunzenhausen Jews where they were murdered during the war. In Dachau, in Gunzenhausen 4, the names you mentioned, Nuremberg, Auschwitz, Theresienstadt, Platsky, Sobibor, Majdanek, Treblinka, Lodz, Minsk, Kanuas, which I don't know, Riga. Okay, so almost, I don't know if it's all of them, but of course it's the major of the Jews who were murdered, all in the same map. Of course, the second map, the few people from the last meeting, was important for them to add. Okay, to add.
I remember, it's a Lehman.
So I'll show you just the second map. Just a minute. It's this one. Just a minute. This is the map. This is the map of us. Okay, the map of us means like survivors or the one who immigrated. So you have a lot in the USA, in New York, in Canada, in England, Netherlands, in France, in Belgium, in Switzerland, in Stockholm, in Hungary, in Israel, a lot of them. But you have also in Argentina, in Chile, 2 Jews from Gunzenhausen, in Brazil, and you have also in India and in Kenya. We have to search for these Jews. Who are these Jews who went to Kenya and India? One in India and 3 in Kenya. If anyone wants to do a research about them, it will be very interesting. Yeah. Just a minute. If you can see it or you don't?
We don't see it.
Okay, so I can send it to you by. I'll try once more, and if not, I'm just trying to show you that. Is that okay now?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is a problem maybe with my Zoom. So I'm back to the. I can send it by email. For the next email, we'll send all these 2 maps, and it's on the website of Emmy Hetzner. You know, the website of the Jewish community, and it's very interesting the spread of where, like, the descendants of Gunzenhausen, where did they go? And if anyone has more names to add, you can send me email or send to Emmy email, and we will add all the descendants of Jewish community of Gunzenhausen to this project. Any questions or remarks, or anyone has another note to say, or if we are talking about the Jewish history of Gunzenhausen, I can show you another map. I'll try. I don't know if it will work. I'll try. If not, not. Do you see that now? The numbers? Do you see the numbers?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, רואים את זה שולה. So according to this map, in 1714, there were 28 families. In 1755, there were 55 families. And in 1809-010, there were 235 People.
People.
Yeah, people. Not. And if you see the different years, this is the general citizens or residents of Gunzenhausen, the non-Jews, and these are the Jews. And it's like I don't know, 5% maybe of the town, around 5%, and the numbers are really small. We are talking about a Jewish community, which is it's the most 291 people, and at the least, you know, at the end, of course, it's 0. But it's very interesting that this community is very, very little one, and even though we are all part of it, that's amazing. You know, it's amazing that even such a small community, and it's spread around the world. I want to show another picture. Let's see another picture. Just a minute. You see this picture of this man?
Yes.
This Yosef Zerberger is the last Jew of Gunzenhausen. He left, this photo is in the train station of Gunzenhausen, and it was in January 39. And after that, Gunzenhausen was Judenrein, or Juden empty, how do you say that in German, yeah? And this is his tombstone, which is in Munich, in München, and this is a synagogue. Yeah, his tombstone is in München, and I have a special letter that my great-grandfather, Karl Rothschild, wrote, I'll show it next time, wrote to Reeder family from Israel that he died in Munich in around July or June 39. And it's a very interesting letter with the Nazi mark on it, on the post-Nazi remark. So these are all information that we are now collecting. And of course, we'll send to Emmy all these things. Any remarks or anyone wants to add any question or to say something in this stage? Uri, you want to say something?
No, thank you.
Okay. So
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I just had a question. Do you know when the earliest burial is in the cemetery? When the earliest,
As far as
burial.
Emmy, do you know the answer?
Can you repeat it, please?
When did the Jewish cemetery started in Gunzenhausen?
It's about 1870.
Yeah.
It's a first Jewish cemetery. There was another one on another place 500 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, and of course, if anyone who visited saw that most of the tombstones are not there, were demolished or taken to build houses. We don't know where. And this is the discussion later about the Jewish cemetery. What do we have to do? And so we'll share some ideas as the meeting go ahead. Any more questions, remarks?
Small remark.
Okay, Shula.
Which is that I wrote to Emmy this week and I asked her, this is Shula from Boston, asked her if the synagogue had a name. And she said the synagogue did not have a name. And the reason, I think she said, or you said, Netanel.
I said.
Okay, you said it. Is that when there was only one synagogue, you didn't have to name it. And there was only one synagogue in this town. And I think that's important because I think that everyone participated as one Jewish community. And my question is, did everybody practice the mitzvot the same way? For example, did everyone practice kashrut? Did everyone, was everyone a shomer Shabbat? Did everyone, which mitzvot did the whole community do? I would love to know that because it's a form of Judaism that doesn't exist anymore. Except maybe in Efrat. But no, I'm sure not.
We don't have enough secular Jews in Efrat and not Reform. The point you mentioned now is very important, but I think the only one who can answer is maybe part of this meeting. If you know about your family from Gunzenhausen and how did they practice Judaism. Of course, the synagogue was one one of the questions was why it was so big. It was a very tall, very high synagogue in a very little community. Yeah? But I think the answer you have to, people here, if they know anything about the family in Gunzenhausen and what were the normals of the Jewish normals or
Right.
traditional.
So, for example, there was a shochet. There
Yeah.
was a Rayfeld, his name was. And the question is, did everyone buy their meat from him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did everyone buy only kosher meat?
Does anyone has an answer to this question? Knows about his family? What were the normals, the religious normals, or the traditional normals?
Customs, yeah.
Customs.
I believe that the Strauss family had, at their inn, also had a kosher butcher, which was very popular in the area. But I don't know if that's, the only place. I'd assume it was kosher, and I assume it was good.
I told Shula that as far as I know, Susie, she was our guest in the last meeting, and she's, I think, the only one born in Gunzenhausen from Jewish community that is alive, or maybe there are more, I don't know. But she's one that she lived, and she said, she told me, I'll show you her picture. Just a minute, I'll show you her picture as a little child. Just a minute, you see her? That's 3 girls. You see the photo? You don't see?
It's very little.
Da unten.
רואים? You see that or you don't see?
לא רואים, לא רואים.
לא רואים, בסדר. I'll send it to you.
פה, כן, הנה.
כן, כן.
כן רואים? רגע, אז רגע.
בקטן.
I try to make it bigger. Now you see it better?
No.
I think you
Okay.
have to open it. You have to click on
Doesn't matter, no? I'll send it to you by email. This is a photo of Susie Reader. And she's almost 95. She lives in Jerusalem. And she told me that her parents didn't send her and her sisters to the kindergarten because there was no Jewish kindergarten, just Jewish school. So they stayed at home. And other families, Jewish families, send their children to the non-Jewish kindergarten. So this also can differentiate between families. Some of them sent their children to the kindergarten, and some of them just sent to the Jewish school, which, as you all know, there were 8 grades and 1 teacher. 1 teacher for all grades, for all ages, 1 teacher. That should be, I think his name was Levi. Amy, what was his name, the teacher?
Max Levite.
Max Levite. He was my grandmother used to tell stories about him. She didn't talk a lot about Gunzenhausen, but she was talking about 1 teacher for 8. You can imagine 8 different ages and 1 teacher. This is the way it was in Gunzenhausen then. Okay, any more questions, remarks? Claudia, you want to talk?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we hear you.
People hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
I'm new to the group. Actually, I learned from my sister. My grandparents were Selma and Nathan Rosenfelder. My grandfather was a banker in Gunzenhausen.
Nathan.
Nathan was my grandfather. And my father was Manfred. He was the middle child of Selma and Nathan. And my grandfather was the banker, a banker in the community. I know my grandmother gave up keeping kosher when it became very expensive. And also Nathan was in World War I. The most memorable story that I have of my grandfather was he was sent home early from World War I, and 9 months later, they had his Uri Vered he emigrated to Israel and lived in Holland. And the oldest, Herta, who was 3 years older than my father, Herta's son emigrated to Israel. So 2/3 of Selma and Nathan's children's families live in Israel now, where Manfred's family all live in the United States, except for one grandchild who now lives in Israel. But Nathan sent his children one at a time to America. Nathan went to the beer halls to listen to the Nazis and listen to the propaganda, and slowly he sent Herta in 1934 to America. My father went in 1935. And my father did Hochschule, high school in Munich. So he had some education in Gunzenhausen, but high school he spent in Munich, and he spent 1.5 years at the university in Würzburg before leaving, when the Nazis wouldn't allow Jews to become doctors and lawyers. My father wanted to be a lawyer, and so he studied a trade. He became an auto mechanic and learned to be an auto mechanic before he came to America. But
okay, Claudia, okay, thank you very much for sharing your personal story and your family story. It's part of the reasons of these meetings, to know each other. I just want to get on a little bit and to introduce Mr. Peter Schnell. Open your microphone. He is the second mayor of Gunzenhausen, and I had already very interesting meeting with him. And introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about current Gunzenhausen, what's going on, and if people will have also after that questions, you can answer. Okay, so welcome, Mr. Peter Schnell. Thank you for joining us. Just open your microphone. No, we don't hear you. You hear me, Peter? Yeah, but we don't hear you. Just press on the...
Netanel. Wow.
What is this noise?
1 second. Netanel.
Yeah, who is calling me?
Yeah.
We're just waiting for Mr. Peter.
Peter, links unten siehst du das Stummschalten. Das musst du anklicken. Links unten am Bildschirm. Fahr mal einfach runter mit der Maus, ganz links.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you, but it's not Peter.
Oh, thank you.
Das Icon für Mikrofon.
No, he doesn't manage to open the microphone.
Wenn du mit der Maus runterfährst, erscheint es erst. Das sieht man vorher nicht. Du musst mit der Maus runterfahren nach unten. Ich höre dich leider nicht. Ich weiß nicht, was du jetzt sagst.
Maybe, Peter, if you can join us through your cellular, maybe if you open the Zoom in the cellular, we can hear you, maybe.
Peter Schnell. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. All I want to say is I have photographs. I just photographed it with my cellular phone.
Menachem, can you open your video?
I'm on my video.
No, we don't see you.
You don't? Wait 1 second.
No, we don't see.
Well, I'll try to see me, and then I can put the photographs, right?
But first we want to see you, then we'll see the photograph.
Okay.
Peter, jetzt ist der Maus dran.
Okay, 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
Ja, Peter, jetzt hören wir dich.
Oh,
Okay.
Hear me
Okay,
now?
now we, Menachem, wait a minute.
Okay.
We want to hear first Mr. Peter Schnell, and then afterwards you'll have time to share
Okay,
your
fine. I
story.
just want to
Now
show you
we
the
hear,
photograph.
Peter, we hear you. Come on, we are with you. Now.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the invitation, Netanel, that I can be with you all here this evening. My name is Peter Schnell. I'm the second town mayor of Gunzenhausen, and I'm a retired teacher, as well as Emmy, and live since my birth in Gunzenhausen. I tell you, if you want, I tell you something about Gunzenhausen nowadays, what's going on here. Gunzenhausen nowadays has nearly 16,500 inhabitants, no inhabitant with Jewish belief. Every 6 years is an election of the city council. The last was in March this year. Town mayor is still Karl-Heinz Fitz. The city council has got 24 members, 9 members from the Christian Social Union, just like Angela Merkel, 5 of the Greens, I'm a member of the Green Party, 4 of the Social Democrats, 3 of the so-called Freie Wähler, 2 of the FDP, the Free Democrat Party, and 1 of the Pirates. Some economic facts about Gunzenhausen. The city's economic backbones are trade and commerce, craft, the priority industries, mechanical and plant engineering, thermal engineering, plastics, processing, renewable energies, tourism, and health. Tourism is a great part of our economical base. In the middle of the 80s, an artificial lakeside was founded here, the Franconian Lake District. The goal of the city council is to offer a holistic, attractive living and working environment, both for entrepreneurs and for future employees and their families. Living must reflect a piece of quality of life. The business location Gunzenhausen is the center of the Franconian Lake District. We offer ideal conditions. Whether cycling, hiking, you can sailing or swimming, due to its location directly on the Altmühl Sea and the charming surroundings of the Seenland and Altmühl Valley Nature Park. Some points how the official Gunzenhausen was confronted with its own history. What did we do in the last 30 years, for example? You know the work of Emmy Hetzner and Franz Müller. They started more than 20 years ago the website Jewish Life Gunzenhausen with their students. Nobody knew that this project, intended for 2 years, would have such a far-reaching effect. Meanwhile, people from the third generation came to Gunzenhausen. They didn't accuse, they didn't assign blame. They want to visit the native town of their families and want to know how people in Gunzenhausen live and think today. The town where their ancestors had inflicted great sorrow and harm. From its beginning, this school project had been closely accompanied by the city council. It started during the time of Town Mayor Gerhard Rautner, continued by Town Mayor Joachim Federschmidt, and nowadays with Town Mayor Karl-Heinz Fitz. The whole city council stands fully behind this confrontation with Gunzenhausen's most terrible and ugliest time of its history. Werner Mühlhäuser, the city archivist, supported and encouraged the studies from its beginning in its content and on the technical side, Horst Schäfer, the leader of our IT department. Meanwhile, the website has passed over to the city of Gunzenhausen and is accompanied by Horst Schäfer, Werner Mühlhäuser, and Ingeborg Herrmann. The project had been awarded several times, and Emmy Hetzner and Franz Müller got for their studies the first Gunzenhausen Culture Award in the year 2019. It was awarded in the presence of Charlotte Knobloch. I don't know if you know her. Gunzenhausen is internationally known for dealing with its Nazi time and is with its studies an example for other cities in Germany. As a consequence of this project, we started for the first time a youth exchange with young people from Rishon LeZion in Israel in 2019. 13 teens from there came to Gunzenhausen, where they stayed in guest families. They got to know each other and visited the documentation center in Nuremberg and worked together on the Jewish cemetery in Gunzenhausen. It was planned that 13 teens from Gunzenhausen should visit Israel this year, but the corona pandemic stopped it. We all hope that it should be realized next year and that this mutual youth exchange will steadily go on. In advance of this exchange, Ilan Katz from Israel stayed in Gunzenhausen and gave lectures in schools and in the publicity. He is very experienced in German-Israeli students exchanges, and the interesting audience was excited. The first city tours on the trails of former Jewish citizens started Emmy Hetzner and Franz Müller and her students. In the meantime, the city of Gunzenhausen offers city tours on the trails of former Jewish citizens as well as on the Jewish cemetery. There are guest books available. The Jewish visitors to the cemetery register there. Some guests have found the names of their relatives there again. The Tahara house on the cemetery was renovated by the city of Gunzenhausen. Memorial boards with the names of all Gunzenhausen Jews known to us and murdered in the Holocaust were attached to the former Schechter house. On the memorial to the fallen of the 2 world wars, stars of David were attached to the names of the Jewish fallen. Every year, on November the 9th, commemoration of the Reichspogromnacht takes place at different locations. With some friends of mine, I had some lessons. Was heißt Lesung? I had some
Lesung. The author read from his book.
Yeah. We made an evening where we read poetry from forgotten Jewish authors in Germany. This had been started 4 or 5 times, and so on. Well, that's a short cut of what Gunzenhausen nowadays, what takes place here in Gunzenhausen. If you have some questions, please ask me. I hope you will understand my bad English.
Yeah, your English is okay. Maybe you can take private lessons from Emmy, but it's okay. Anyone wants to ask any question to second?
Can I show some of the pictures of Gunzenhausen?
Menachem, just wait a minute.
You asked a question, no?
If you have a question, okay, but open your video. We don't see you. Menachem, you hear me? Open the video and the microphone.
Okay, I have the video. I think the video open.
No, we don't see.
You don't see me?
No.
Okay. I don't know how I see.
Okay, try to check it in the meantime.
Okay, meantime, you do something else. I don't know how to change.
In the meantime, anyone wants to ask any questions about?
I do.
Yeah, okay, Shula.
I can't help it. I always have a question.
Okay.
Emmy, when I met you in Gunzenhausen and you explained the project to me, you said that the people, the students who participate, do it because they want to participate. Do you remember? That they don't have to participate. So, right? I mean, you said it's for ninth graders. Any ninth grader who wants to be part of this can do that. I was just wondering, has that changed? Because now you have so much good information. Is it part of the curriculum for all the students? Or just, again, only for those who are interested?
Curriculum is the history of the whole country. And the history of the town, we should always add, but it's not necessary.
Not required.
Yeah, not required. And the young colleagues will start going on with keep on the project. But I don't know exactly what the new head of the school require. Maybe all have to take part or not. I don't know.
Do you think that would be a good project to talk about with the school principal or with the town, that this curriculum should not be optional? It should be part of the education of the children of Gunzenhausen. Because you have talked about how now everybody knows, but I don't think everybody is going to know unless everyone is taught.
Maybe this question is also to Mr. Peter.
Ja, es wäre vielleicht für Peter gut.
What do you think about it as a part of a curriculum to every student in Gunzenhausen, that he should know about the Jewish history of Gunzenhausen?
Well, Abby told you that the curriculum is a part of all schools in the whole Bavaria. And if teachers came to the city council and wanted to wanted to know more about this time, there's no question. Werner Mühlhäuser is always ready to give answers, to give impressions. But the influence of the city council or of the city to the curriculum is not
given.
Not given, you know.
Okay.
But if that's the ambition of teachers, if they want to take part, more room for in their lessons for the local history about this time, it's no kind of problem, I think.
I would like to just tell you one thing before I stop. You know, there are 50 states in the United States, and one of them is New Jersey. And New Jersey and other states have a law that every child in the state has to learn about the Holocaust.
About the Holocaust. In German too. In German too.
So in Germany, that's what I wanted to know. So in Germany, every child must learn about the Holocaust, but they don't have to learn what their families did, what their town did. I think it would be a great project to have it be more of the education. That's all.
Maybe you can arrange like a meeting with the principals and offer them this idea and try to see what do they think about it. Maybe this is can be one of the initiations of this gathering, yeah?
Video.
Okay. Menachem, we lost you. We don't see you.
Okay, I'm still here.
Just open. We saw you just a few minutes ago, but now we don't see you now.
I know, because when I talk, I can't. I talk. I don't know how to.
Okay.
Also,
shortly, just introduce yourself.
All I want to say is I'm going to show a few pictures. I have the pictures of the bank where my grandfather
Which
was.
family? Which family do you come from?
Claudia is my first cousin. Her father and my mother were brother and sister. My grandmother was in the Hyman family, and my grandfather of Shalom, he was Natan Rosenfelder. He was the manager of the bank, the Hyman Bank, the D Hyman Bank.
Menachem, you can't open the video for a minute, just so.
I can open the video, but I think I have to disconnect the speaking.
First, when you speak, open that we will see you. Okay.
So, okay, I'll see. I don't know. I can speak. I have to press. I have to. Okay, I've done.
No, now open the microphone.
Claudia, he is your cousin.
Who's my cousin? David.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful ceiling.
Menachem, put the camera on your face, yeah, on your. Oh, now we see you. Okay, now open the microphone. Oh, Menachem, you are doing balagan for us.
Bilder.
Okay, we'll wait for Menachem. Anyone has more questions, either to Emmy or to Mr. Peter Schnell? Anything about current situation in Gunzenhausen or relationship between us as descendants and the residents? So if anyone has any more remarks or questions, this is the time.
I have a question about the cemetery that Emmy was talking about.
Yeah.
She said that the cemetery is only, that there is no old cemetery for residents before, what did you say, before 1900? Was that correct?
The cemetery is started in 1870, about.
1870. So there's no cemetery for residents that were there before then.
They were buried in Bechhofen. It's far away from here.
It was common. It was common. It was common in this time that if there was some Jewish communities around one area, they used to have one active cemetery, and the other villages or communities used to bury there because it was very small communities.
Yeah.
If you think about 200 members, how many memorial, how many people die every year? Not much. Yeah. So
so it's not that a cemetery was destroyed. It's just that there was a cemetery that served a variety of communities so if I were to go back to Gunzenhausen to look for my ancestors that were there in the early 1800s, it would be to go to a community, one that served a variety of communities.
Yeah, but the Jewish cemetery was, most of the tombstones were destroyed, so you cannot find there. You have some the memorial ones at the fence or at the wall, but you have really small amount of tombstones which are there originally, you know, because most of them were destroyed by during the war or before the war.
Judith Klein, are your ancestors buried here in Gunzenhausen?
Well, the family that left in 1850 or 60, I think.
What's the name of your family?
Died earlier. Carol knows more than I do.
Okay, but this is like a more personal issue,
Okay.
so you can be in touch with Emmy afterwards, and she can help you. You all have to know that our next meeting we'll have Werner from the town archive. He will speak to us and show us some documents, and he will tell us which kind of documents you can find in the archive. So you can maybe find death documents or birth documents of your family. But this, you can be in touch with Emmy or with Werner, and he will talk in our next meeting because now he's in vacation or something.
You can send me a mail.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
The
Any more?
cemetery,
Yes,
I
Uri.
forgot
the cemetery of Beethoven is all on the internet.
Yeah.
All the tombstones, you can find it. And I found some people of Gunzenhausen buried there.
Okay, maybe you can send us the link, Uri, so we'll send it to everyone.
Yeah, I
have
didn't
a-
understand what he said.
Oh.
What can you find?
Oh, I have a question for
Just a
Mr.
minute,
Schnell.
just a minute. Uri,
Mhm.
what did you say? That which town has the old documents?
Beethoven.
Beethoven, which is not far.
Okay, sorry.
It's about
Okay.
20 kilometers from Gunzenhausen.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question for Mr. Schnell. This is Walter Stoll. Is Kronheim now part of Gunzenhausen?
Yes.
Because my other grandmother was from Kronheim, so there is no history then of Kronheim included, correct?
Right.
Not yet, not yet.
Okay,
Yes.
because they were the Hubert family, right? Okay, thank you. This is Walter Stoll in Denver, Colorado, the Teilheimer family.
Okay, nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you. Anyone more?
I try again.
Try again, but we want to see you.
Okay, well, I appear on the screen before, and I try to put the pictures on the place where I am. That's the way I do it, I think. I don't know. All I want to say is that, like, the family came from Oberstdorf, which is also near Gunzenhausen. Am I correct? Oberstdorf, and you hear? Oh,
we hear
and
you.
it was the Hyman family, and my great grandfather of Shalom had a factory there, a clothing factory, and he's the one that sponsored the bank for my grandparents, for his daughter and his son-in-law, Natan Rosenfelder. And I'll show you the pictures, okay? Find my square on the list, on all the. I'll go back and talk about it afterwards. I don't know how to keep talking and show you the pictures, okay?
Try to, we'll give you a chance. Okay, Menachem, we don't see that. Maybe you send it to my email and I will send it to everyone, these pictures.
All right, fine.
That will be the
Fine,
way.
fine.
Okay.
When I'm still talking, I can't show the pictures. But I'll show the pictures in the meantime while you're talking. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Any more questions to either Emmy or Mr. Peter?
Mr. Peter, this is Shula from Boston. Now I see nothing.
We see you and we hear you, Shula.
Okay, well, I can't, but it doesn't matter. I was just wondering about your job. You are the second mayor, and Netanel told me that you are a volunteer. So how does that work? You don't have to be elected?
I was elected by the city council in May, at the beginning of May. And
is there always a second mayor everywhere?
second and the third mayor. We are, when the town mayor has got time to congratulate, to go to other community, I have to go, or the third mayor has to go. That's
the third mayor.
two. Yes, a second mayor and a third mayor we've got.
Oh my God! And do you have any power?
Power?
Yeah,
I've got powers.
Yes, mayor.
The other green parties, they don't like questions of power.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I just want to know what.
I have another question, Peter. Do you have any Syrian refugees or refugees from different countries out of Germany in Gunzenhausen, living in Gunzenhausen?
I don't know the number of the refugees, but there are still refugees here. I think 200-300,
Wow.
by the way. And maybe it's interesting for you. We've got Gunzenhausen is nowadays not a town where there are no anti-Semites here. The AfD, do you know that party in Germany? They've got 10% at the last election for the federal for whole Germany, but in Gunzenhausen they've got no local party. I think there are still some of them are living here, but most of the people demonstrate against that way of thinking.
Okay, maybe it will be interesting if we as a group will come to Gunzenhausen and meet some representatives of the Syrian community of Gunzenhausen. Can be interesting, maybe for the future. I want to invite Faye and James, you are with us, open your microphones, to open the discussion about the Jewish cemetery. We mentioned already this meeting a few times, the situation there and what we can do in the future. So come on, the microphone is yours and share with us some of your notions about that.
Okay, I'll start. Jimmy and I have been speaking, and Thomas Medicus is also
Faye,
on
Faye, can
board.
you look more to the camera so we'll see you at in the middle? The other
Can you
way.
see me?
The other way.
The other way.
I'm not quite sure.
That is
The opposite of what you're doing.
a little bit better.
A little bit better?
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
see the green dot? Face the green dot on top of your screen.
Anyway, you can hear me at least.
Yeah, we hear
correct?
you and we see half of your face.
Okay. So I was last at the cemetery in March 2019. And in terms of, I'm going to talk about short-term goals and long-term goals. It was very unkept. There were a lot of tree branches down. There were a lot of weeds. It appeared that no maintenance had been done for an extended period of time. So to me, a short-term goal is rakes, to just clean it up. Maybe it's been done since I was there over a year ago, but to maintain it, to pick up all of the down branches, to pick up all the weeds. I think it might be lovely if some plantings could be done in the cemetery. So in a sense, I view that as short-term. Longer term is to do something concerning this house that is on the edge. Jimmy is going to speak. I have never been inside. I knew at some point it would be renovated. Possibly that would be the center of where Jewish tours would start. And then another long-term goal that Thomas Medicus had suggested was to put up some type of memorial in the cemetery. And he had even suggested that a beautiful white marble is native to the area, and we could use that to construct some memorial. So that's what I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. Short-term goals is cleaning it up and continued maintenance. Maybe it can be a summer project for some of the students, and longer term is the house and a possible memorial. So take it away, Jimmy.
Hello. I was in Gunzenhausen on only 2 occasions, one in 1999 with my wife and son, when I knew nothing of my family's connection and background. It was before the internet was a factor. And then in 2015. In 1999, there was actually someone living in the house adjacent to the cemetery, and we actually had to climb over the fence to get in after we located that there was a Jewish cemetery. And it was in very beautiful condition then because it was someone's backyard, basically. In 2015, when we went, it was in very nice shape. The house was abandoned, but there was a ledger book in there in which I found the signatures of visitors from as early as 1970, a cousin of mine. You know, I've been speaking, both Faye and I are in New York City, and we've become friends, and we, you know, occasionally get together and we discuss a little bit about Gunzenhausen. And, you know, she's expressed to me the condition of the cemetery had not been that good. And I agree with her that some effort needs to be placed to keep it as nice as it could be. It's a very charming location with, you know, some very bad things happen to people in there, but it is a very interesting site and could serve as another memorial along with the one in town when people come to visit. And, you know, so I joined with her in this request.
Okay. Anyone wants to add his feelings or his thoughts, or maybe we can like think about a committee, not a committee, a few people to get together. Anyone who is interested specifically about the Jewish cemetery and to share some ideas. I'm sure Mr. Peter is also listening to us, and maybe we can cooperate with the council and to see what we can do.
Netanel.
Yeah.
Say something. I have photographs of the, we discussed previously about the Jewish education in Gunzenhausen during the period. When I was in 69, I was in the army in Frankfurt, like I said, and I visited Gunzenhausen, and my aunt in Cholon, who was married to my uncle, had contact with people in Gunzenhausen that used to live in the bank, not Jews, our old family.
Mm-hmm.
And Kleinschmidt, the daughter married a Kleinschmidt.
Mm-hmm.
When I was there, they showed me the buildings of Gunzenhausen, and I have a photograph of the Yiddish college, the children, the school for the Jewish children in Gunzenhausen. So they didn't have the public education that you would think if they didn't.
Can you send me these photos and I'll send it to everyone?
I don't want to show you the photo. I just want to tell you about it.
Okay. Okay. But
okay?
I want to go back to the discussion.
No, but I want to talk about the cemetery.
Okay.
You were talking about having a memorial in Gunzenhausen for the Jewish community that don't live there anymore. For all sorts of reasons. And there's a Beit Knesset that was there that you sent me a picture. But I have a picture of the Beit Knesset the way it was in 69. And it was a factory for smokestacks. Okay? I have a picture of that with a big sign that it makes loos, L-O-O-S, which are smokestacks, I believe, right? I believe I'm correct in the German. I think on the synagogue, at least they should have a memorial. The cemetery, how many people go to the cemetery? Non-Jews. And why would somebody visit the Jewish cemetery except they weren't Jewish? But a synagogue and a folk shul, a Jewish folk shul, would be also a nice memorial to the Jewish community. That's all I want to say, okay?
I just it's something. Good.
Ma?
It's one there. On the synagogue, there is a plaque.
Yes.
And
the folk shul also?
It's for both, because it was in the neighborhood.
Because they discussed this. They discussed here, you know, in the very beginning about the Jewish community with the kosher food. Was there, was there a synagogue, a yeshiva maybe? And I don't think it was very clear what there was or what there wasn't. Most of us don't remember. We weren't there. But these buildings are the ones the only thing that I saw that represented, except for the bank to my grandfather, which didn't have the name on anymore. It was a Landwirtschaft Bank, I think it's called. The Landwirtschaft. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay. And I think that these places should have some kind of a plaque on it to show the children. If you explain to children about the Jews that were living there and the life that was there before, I think it would be a good idea to include that in the tool. in the school. Okay. So
Okay,
bye.
James.
I just want to say, in 2015, when I went to Gunzenhausen, I visited with Emmy's class, and these very bright, very well-spoken children took us on a tour of the town and really blew our minds away by saying, this is where the temple was. This is where the various activity, the school was. A lot of these buildings don't exist anymore. We're talking, 70 years, 80 years now, or they've been repurposed, but they did have commemorative things at the sites, if I recall. I also wanted to say that when I first went onto the website for that the school class had put together, I actually thought it was a postgraduate college, university site, because it was so intelligent and well written and well done. So I was shocked when I met with children who were, young teenagers who had done the work and worked on it, which also addresses the point that someone asked before about the curriculum. This wasn't just a normal curriculum. It was a enriched curriculum where they volunteered to participate and really dug into. And I know I have videos of them, of the students at various spots around town, showing me what happened at my grandfather's inn, what happened at this site with one family and another family. So it was quite interesting and quite high level.
Of course, if we want to get on with these ideas, people have to be active, to show interest, like you say now, and to maybe we'll set up a meeting of all the people who are interested in the Jewish cemetery, and there will be some efforts to do here, or sometimes to invest, or to put some time of your life in order to do that. And we will be in touch, of course, with the second mayor, or with the council, and with Emmy. And but people have to be active and to show some interest. Yes, Shula.
I would like to ask Peter, the second mayor. Are you still there?
Yeah, he's with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Gunzenhausen has Christian cemeteries too, right?
Yes.
There are. Did you understand my question?
Yes, I understand. There are two Christian.
How many do you have? How many do you have?
Two cemeteries for Christian people.
That's it. You have 16,000 people. That's enough to have two. So.
And there are some cemeteries which belongs to the Protestant Church, for example, in Kronheim.
Okay. So I have a suggestion. My husband and I, we have graves in a cemetery in Massachusetts because we live in Massachusetts. And our cemetery is part of an association of cemeteries. Do you know what I mean? So in Gunzenhausen, it could be the two Christian ones and the ones that are in the church and the Jewish one. I would like to propose to you as the second mayor that if there is an association, that the Jewish one be part of it. And everything that's done for the Christian cemeteries on a regular basis.
Shula, the Jewish cemetery, and Emmy will confirm this, whatever we do in terms of long-term, a memorial, is governed by the Bavarian Jewish cemeteries. Because I put up a plaque in my family's memory, and I had to go, it's outside of Munich. So that cannot be, it's under the auspices of, as I said, Bavarian Jewish cemeteries.
The situation in Poland is the same.
That doesn't contradict what I said. And thank you for telling me that. I also contacted the chief rabbi of Nuremberg, who told me that I could not do what I wanted to do in the cemetery in Gunzenhausen. So I understand what you're saying, but what I'm just talking from the point of view of Gunzenhausen. If Gunzenhausen puts aside, I'm making this up, $5,000 a year to take care of their cemeteries, part of that money should also go to the Jewish one, because I'm concerned about your, what? You agree? That's all
I
I'm
agree.
saying. That it should it be incorporated into what Gunzenhausen does for cemeteries? And Peter can help us with that. So therefore, for example, when you say the first step should be cleanup, which I obviously agree, cleanup is not a one-time activity.
I
Cleanup
agree.
is
Cleanup and maintenance. I agree.
Right, so I think that should be the responsibility of the Gunzenhausen Cemetery Association, or whatever they call it, that we should be part of that. That's nothing to do with Jewishness. That's just to do with the maintenance of
But does
property.
the Bavarian group have that responsibility? You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be Gunzenhausen as long as it's being
Should
done.
be.
Well,
Because it's,
the
you
thing
know
is,
why? Because
well,
it's consciousness raising, and it's saying this is not just Jewish.
okay,
This is
but throughout, apparently throughout Germany, or at least through Bavaria, they have a coordinated group. I don't know how effective it is. I have not had contact with them. Faye may have, but you know, I guess the first question to find out is, are they taking some responsibility for maintenance, and where they get their funding from? Maybe they're getting it from the German federal government. You
Okay,
know,
what
and
I suggest,
assigning it to various communities. We don't know. We have to look into that.
I suggest that anyone who is interested in being active, like Faye, like James, like Shula, will send an email, we'll point a meeting all together, and to see a few
and
steps.
Peter, please.
Yeah, of course, Mr. Peter will be with us also. And then we can find information about Bavarian or München or Nuremberg Jewish, and what's the connection between the Council of Gunzenhausen and the general Bavarian Jewish community, something like that. This is what I suggest. Okay,
Perfect.
we are
Great.
coming just to the end. I just wanted to say
I
that.
have a question.
Yes, Franka from Berlin, Franka in Cornell.
The voice from Berlin. I have a question to Peter and to Emmy. My mother lives in Nuremberg, and I'm quite often in Nuremberg to visit. And last time I was in Gunzenhausen, it was a couple of years ago. We were at the cemetery, but we didn't know who has the key or who to contact if we go for a visit. Peter or Emmy, do you know who I have to contact to get into the cemetery? Because we were just going around and looking over the fence. We didn't dare, like James, to jump over the fence.
Oh, you have to go. You have to go to the archive, Herr Mühlhäuser.
Okay.
Was it on the weekend?
Yes, it was on Pfingsten.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
If you contact Emmy before you come,
yeah,
it'll be okay.
Emmy, can I contact you? Or?
Yeah. Or Herr Mühlhäuser, but not on weekends.
Yeah. Oh, because I'm only in the week. I'm working, so I'm only there on the weekend. So probably. It's,
okay, Franka. This
problem, but I will arrange it.
Okay, you will be in touch with Emmy and you can set this thing.
I will.
I just wanted to say that one of the projects we want to initiate is also a dialogue group in English between descendants, part of our group, descendants of Jewish community, and residents from Gunzenhausen. And if you'll have more answers and who wants to be in touch with that or interested in this group, or maybe wants to donate so this group can get on, you can be in touch with me. And we are all open to new ideas or to other ideas. We are thinking about a visit, and a whole group visit to Gunzenhausen, but when the corona will end, or if it will end, I hope so. So before that, we cannot fly. But there is a thought about like a weekend or Jewish weekend or a visit to Gunzenhausen, but we will be in touch with you. Any more comments, remarks, things that out of this meeting? We soon will end the official meeting. We will end, and anyone wants to stay can stay. But any more thoughts, initiations, ideas?
Peter.
Yes.
Can you find some money for Netanel for all the time that he is spending doing this project?
Shula, this is a personal question.
No, it's not. This is a group.
You repeat your question?
Sure. Netanel is doing this as a professional. This is his kind of work that he does. He creates groups. And he's not getting paid for it. And he has 4 children.
Shula,
And
come
a
on.
wife.
We
Hold
didn't
on.
speak about that before.
And I was just wondering if you know things, Peter, that could help. It doesn't have to pay Netanel, but it has to support our group, because our group is now meeting a lot.
Well, I have to talk with the town mayor about this question.
Good.
Of course.
Okay. Any more other ideas or thoughts or feelings? How do you feel about our gathering? When you want our next gathering to be, our meeting? Is it in a month's time, maybe 2 months' time, to see how?
I think we should meet every month.
Once a month.
I agree with you.
Okay. Any more opinions? Once a month.
2 months.
1 in 2 months. Okay. We'll do in the middle. 1 in a month and a half.
I think people should practice their Zoom abilities before they present.
Okay. Okay. Frank, you want to add anything?
Yeah, if I may, because I also have to leave. So I'm from the Leobeck Institute, and I just want to offer the Leobeck Institute archives as sort of a gathering point or focal point for documentation, family histories, recordings, things in regard to the family histories and the town of Gunzenhausen, and anything that concerns the group, because I think it is eventually beneficial if everything is sort of more concentrated in one place, because it's easier to find things, it's easier to cross-reference things, and there's always this question about future generations. How do we get the next generations sort of interested and involved? And it makes the whole thing a lot easier if there is sort of one point where people can refer to and find things, and also since these meetings are being recorded, again, if you have digital recordings, it's always good to have backup copies, copies that can be found in more than one place. That goes with every documentation, paper, electronic, photos, whichever. And so I just want to emphasize that for the long term, and obviously you are talking about a continuous sort of discussion and going forward in this, there should be at least one place where things are sort of concentrated and can be found. The other thing I want to point out, I think I mentioned this again, I mentioned this already last time, is there are lots of places in Germany. This is always what is so hard for people to understand. There used to be like 3,500 Jewish communities in pre-Nazi Germany. And of this size, smaller, larger, and they all have a rich, long, interesting, and important history. And these are things that also work by way of inspiration. So Gunzenhausen is in the process of creating something. There are many sprinkled around the world people, is 3,500 communities. There's Jewish Gen, there are other places, but usually in terms of the comprehensiveness of documentation, you should have a place that is interesting in sort of all aspects and not just cemeteries or not just family history or not just some other specialized thing. So I just want to say, I mean, Netanel and I are in contact. I know various people here. Actually, Shula, I know your husband, not you yet. So there are many connections, and it's sort of in this world of social media and the internet and everything, it has become so much easier to have that kind of cross-referencing. But again, to quote Netanel, it has to be done. I mean, it doesn't come automatically. And so
maybe you will
make
be
an
the
effort,
address.
and I just leave it from here.
Yeah, maybe you can be the address to collecting all the history. You can be in touch with Emmy because Emmy has a lot of information about, maybe she has the most. The archive is with Emmy. She knows about our families more than we do know sometimes. So maybe you can be in touch with Emmy, and all the other people who have photos or information can send Frank. I have his email. So send Frank all the documentation that you have. Maybe the archive also can be in touch with you, and we can like build the whole picture that we can have. That's a good idea. Richard, did you want to say anything?
So distribute my address.
Okay, I'll send your address to everyone.
Urgent questions, also my phone number, you know. I mean,
okay.
Frank, Frank, are you an archivist?
I am the archivist. I have been with Leo Beck Institute for 35 years, so
You are the archivist. Perfect.
Okay. Richard, did you want to say anything, Richard? Open your microphone. We don't hear you.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are there Stoppelsteine in Gunzenhausen yet?
Richard, Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Yes. What was your question?
Not Oppenheimer. You were talking about the stones, yeah? The memorial stones.
Are there Stoppelsteine in Gunzenhausen?
No, I've never heard the name.
No, it's not a name of a family. It's a
I
name
know
of a
something
project.
about it.
Stoppelsteine are little stones that are put in the street as a
Stolperstein.
memorial.
Stolperstein. Sorry. Yeah, no, we have plaques. We prefer plaques.
On the houses.
Yeah, on the houses. Not
But
on
that
all
only
houses.
that only represents people that went to the camps. The Stoppelstein.
No, it doesn't.
That's
The Stolpersteine, excuse me, the Stolpersteine, it was a discussion in the city council about the Stolpersteine, and there was Charlotte Knobloch is against the Stolpersteine, and that was the reason for the great part of the city council to that we don't establish Stolpersteine in Gunzenhausen.
Yeah.
Charlotte Knobloch had the opinion that you walk about the people who lived in the houses, and you treat them very bad when you walk there.
Right.
Anyone
That's
who
not
doesn't
my
know,
opinion, but
it's like a big project in other cities of Germany where you have stones just in front of the houses in the memory of the Jews who went to the camps or were murdered. So each name of a Jewish person is on the stone just in front of the house he used to live. Okay.
There's a big debate. It's a good idea or not a good idea.
Another idea we have to have in the future, maybe to have like a book in 3 languages, English, Hebrew, and German, about the history of Gunzenhausen Jews. And we can make some research about that with academic professors or PhD doctors. So this is only one. This is also one of the ideas. But each one of these ideas, we need people to be active. Okay, ideas. We have a lot of dreams and ideas, each one of us. But things are happening in the world, in the reality, just if people take responsibility and initiate and spend some of their time and bring things to the conclusion and to be active in reality. So I think we'll have our next meeting like at the end of July. I suggest the 26th of July. You can write it in your diaries. It's the same hour, okay, 6 Israeli time, 5 Germany. 11 New York, and 8 Canada or California, the west.
And Kenya?
Kenya, I don't know what's the time now in Kenya. And but we have to search for these Kenya Jews of Gunzenhausen and India. We have to know who are they and to make some research. Anyone wants to help, please contact me.
Yes, I think we should nominate Frank Mecklenburg to help us find this, because he's a professional.
I want to really thank Amy Hetzner. We can clap our hands for all her work, Amy Hetzner, and open the microphones, I open everyone's.
And to Netanel, who is
in the end. But I want to thank Mr. Peter Schnell for joining us and telling us about Karen Gunzenhausen and his positive attitude. Okay, you can clap your hands. His positive attitudes towards all the descendants on the gathering. And anyone who wants to write a specific email or have any photos, please send them to me or to Emmy. And any questions or ideas, you can also write to me by email. I'll send you the recording of this meeting. Through YouTube, you will have a YouTube link, so you'll have the recording of this meeting. And thank you very much for everyone for sharing, for being with us this afternoon. And Rothschild family can stay to a private family meeting.
I want to say hello to Mrs. Hetzner.
Okay.
I am Uri Kellerman, the sister of Uri Kellerman. We met for 10 years, I think.
Ja, ach, wie schön. Familie Weiß.
Yes, yes.
I remember.
Uh-huh.
Ja, wie schön.
I am very happy to see you, to meet you.
Yeah, I'm happy too.
Shula, you know she is from our family also, all the Kellerman family.
I want everybody in our family.
We are also descendants. All the Kellerman family are the same family like Rothschild.
Netanel, Claudia was on the call before. I don't know what her last name is now, but it used to be Rosenfelder. Claudia, are you there?
Yes, she's here.
Yes.
Hi.
Okay, anyone who wants to leave this meeting, you can leave. You don't have to stay for these private conversations.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Mr. Peter. We'll be in touch. Thank you to everyone. And anyone wants to stay, it is his responsibility from now on.
Goodbye to you all.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye, Peter. Bye-bye, Mr.
Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen. Freue mich.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I just wanted to tell people who might be interested that my parents came from Gunzenhausen and Claudia's parents came from Gunzenhausen.
Not
and
my
when
parents. My father.
Your father?
Only my father.
No. Okay, your father. Only my father. You're right. And when they came to the United States, they found each other. Claudia's father and my father, who I think were friends in Gunzenhausen.
Yeah.
And I grew up knowing Claudia and her sister and her brother. We went on vacation together. And what's so nice is that the Gunzenhausen friendship became also an American friendship among the children.
We played together as kids, that I remember. Claudia and her sister Lily and I used to play together when we were very young children.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
Hi, Shula and Barry.
Hi, Tammy.
How are you?
Where is
Tammy, you should be so proud of Netanel.
We're very proud. Shayaw and I are sitting here, and we are very proud of him.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is great.
So this guy Barry over here, sitting next to my sister.
Where's Stu? Stu went home. Where is Stu? Stu was here.
So I'm wondering how the people are related.
To whom?
Well, the whole